Hello, it's Gray.
Hello, it's Crystal.
And this is Bus Asian Beauties, a supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show many, many times.
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we're both Asian.
Both Asian. For today's episode, we will be discussing Season 5, Episode 9, The Real Ghostbusters, written by Eric Kripke and Nancy Weiner, directed by James L. Conway.
Rare Eric Kripke W.
Or is this not the best episode of all time?
I think it is.
I think it well may be. It's so good. It's
It
genuinely a wonderful episode.
I enjoyed myself.
Babpod is not the place to be saying shit like, I love this episode, but this episode was truly amazing. I
don't think I've really heard an opinion on this episode either way. More people should be saying that it's the best episode ever. I think what it is that it follows changing channels. And changing channels is known as the funny one.
Iconic, yeah.
And iconic and all of that. So it is weird to have another the funny one right after. But it's fine due to yeah.
It's leagues better than changing channels. And I think, you know what, leagues better than French Mistake. True. Fanfiction, in comparison, I'm not sure. I'm going to be holding out on that one.
Interesting. So you consider fanfiction better than French Mistake and changing channels then?
Yes. If we're going to be ranking them, I would say this is close to my affinity to fanfiction. I like fanfiction.
Okay.
And there we go. This is a good episode. We loved it. Crystal, as always, watched this episode before I did. And asked me if I've watched it, and I went, not sure, I'll probably hate it or whatever. And Crystal went, I don't think you will. Which is the first time a statement as such has been shared between the two of us.
This is true.
Yeah, and Crystal also used the pun, I chuckled surely, which is truly a wonderful, amazing statement.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to share to everyone because it's so funny.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone back home is just guffawing in their seats. Well,
I chuckled surely, which is a pun that does not work when said out loud. Yeah, of course.
His name is Chuck Shirley. The sounds are in it, out loud also.
Yeah, but I feel like it's funnier when you see it, visually. Just read the transcript. Pretend you've never heard of this and then go to the transcript and go, haha, Crystal's so funny.
So the transcript should I respell Shirley as his last name or
No, you spell it as Chuckle Shirley, as you have done in the past.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll stick to historical precedents.
Exactly. Well, what did you know about this episode before going in?
So I knew that this was where the Becky-Chuck relationship would begin. I knew that there would be the characters that I had previously been calling the wincest role players, but that was an unfair characterization. They were not role playing wincest. They were just two men who were a couple who were also role-playing Sam and Dean, but were not role-playing Sam and Dean as a couple. So I'm sorry to all the slander in the past.
And they were perfectly wonderful. They were amazing characters.
Yeah, they were fun. And I also know that there's a shot of Chuck standing in front of a convention of people and asking
are
for
raised.
questions, and then all the hands are raised because we use that screenshot for our Q&As that nobody sends us questions for. So yeah.
Hey, season 1 to 3 people sent in questions. Season 4 we fell the fuck off, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, perhaps season 5 there will be questions again.
No, I don't think we will ask for questions anymore because I'm embarrassed.
You were the one who was just like, for 3 out of 4 seasons we got plenty of questions, Crystal. One no question season is enough for you.
Yeah, and I've given up completely. Yeah. You can still send in questions, everyone. And we will answer them, but we will not make a call to action anymore. It's what we're gonna do.
All right.
Is that all?
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's most of it, isn't it?
That's most of the episode. It's just the execution is excellent, which is what makes it really pop. I mean, this one is written by Eric Kripke, which is not a frequent writer of middle episodes.
Right.
And there was a point here where I was like, God, Eric Kripke wishes he was so funny, cool, charismatic, and wonderful as Chuck. And then I was like, wait, he wrote this episode. He literally fucking dies.
Oh, very sad.
Nobody will ever be as funny as Chuck, surely.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Nancy is the reason that Chuck is funny. Maybe Eric had nothing to do with it.
Well, you know what? I'm ready to admit it.
Because
I think Eric Kripke is a fine writer.
Huh. Okay, but Nancy Weiner was also on the team for Monster at the end of this book, so like...
Is this really? Oh, okay. Well, I'm not ready to admit anything other than Nancy Weiner is a good writer, maybe.
Exactly. Like, Monster at the end of this book was written by Julie Siege, but Nancy Weiner was a writer's assistant who was in the story by credits for Monster at the end of this book, so... I feel like she has more claim to Chuck than Eric Kripke does.
Yeah. Chuck is her, like, pet project, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Her and Julie Siege's.
We start the episode with a teaser that made me go, oh, I'm watching the wrong episode.
Yes.
But I wasn't. Yeah. What is it? What is the
There's
beginning?
the scene
it was like
in
Sam
Asylum
calling
where
Dean,
Sam
like,
goes like, I'm not pathetic like you.
like you.
So hot.
Yeah. And then I was like scouring my brain like, wait, where did they use it this episode? And it is literally just like the two Sam and Dean LARPers being like, Dean, you should kill yourself or whatever it is that Sam says. It's so iconic. You know what? You remember when I was like, Crystal, you're such a loser for playing D&D? I fully get it now, I think. Like, this episode has changed my mind on D&D. And also, like, just roleplay in general. It will work on me so severely.
Congrats.
So severely. But maybe the difference is like original character versus like playing a character that already exists, which is the difference. So yeah, maybe I don't know. I'm a nerd is what we're learning. Episode begins with Sam and Dean like really driving through fucking USFA, and they're like really tense. They're running, and then they go up, and you know what? Sam really is the contact point with Chuck, isn't he?
That's
true. They're meant to be.
They are meant to be.
More and more, I'm like, they should have gotten together. And I'm being so sincere. Like,
yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Oh, they should have.
You know how people, like, girlfriendify Cass's height? Like, you make him shorter.
Chuck has a very girlfriendifiable height already, doesn't he?
Yeah. You don't need to change anything with Chuck. Like, that's girlfriend height. I'm so sorry for being heteronormative in this podcast. But like so many fandoms literally do it. They also do it for Aziraphale and Crowley sometimes, which is so mind-boggling to me. What are you doing?
Like, why though?
And they do it for Aziraphale, which is like, I mean,
it's technically shorter.
Both aspects are mind-boggling, but like, what is happening here? Well, anyway, they arrive and Chuck is shaken to his core about their presence. And, Sam and Dean are like, you texted us and like we rushed to go here. Well, specifically, Chuck apparently texted Sam. And what it is it's Becky. So, of course, she's going to text Sam. But a part of me is like, Sam read a text from Chuck that says like, I'm in danger, come here. And he was like, Dean, we must go immediately. Which is so important.
Yeah. And he doesn't even get in on any of that sweet Chuck action because he and Becky are together by the end. Sad.
Becky comes in, rushes in. And she's like, oh my God, Sam, you're here. And Sam says like, oh, you're Becky, right? And she's like, you remember, you've been thinking about me. I can't get you out of my head either. The way they do Becky is something they should apologize for. Like,
the way she delivers lines and inclines her head or whatever, it's very exaggerated, and it is very like, I don't know, they're just mocking fangirls a lot through every single thing she says and does.
She is the only fangirl, right? Because like the ghost lady doesn't want to be there, and like there are other women in the crowd, but they don't meet them. Yeah, we don't meet them. So she is like the representation of the fangirl in Supernatural.
Yes.
So yeah, kinda, I don't like it.
Nor I.
Yeah, we will continue to not like it, I suppose,
until season 15.
I mean, season 15.
I think she's fine in 1503, but she will be bad up until then. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I'm not sure, actually. Maybe
they do. Chuck snaps his fingers and she goes into dust.
Oh, sad. Becky apparently took Chuck's phone. And the way she says it is, I didn't take it. I just borrowed it from your pants.
Yeah, so I thought that they were like already together.
Together already.
Yeah, by this point.
But
like,
apparently not.
Right, so like her role in his life right now, is she like co-organizer of this con?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so they have some form of business partnership.
There is an organizer already. Like there's a different guy who is like the organizer, the one who calls Chuck and everything and announces stuff.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, maybe Becky's just there also.
Huh? Like she just showed up early.
It's a possibility. Yeah.
I guess, but like they just seem to have like a rapport. Like I guess maybe it doesn't have to be a business relationship. Maybe they just kept being internet friends or whatever after 501.
Yeah, it could be. I'm apprehensive of that, but yeah, I see the vision.
Yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, it's hard for me to. I don't know what she's been doing since 501. Like clearly something.
Yeah. So a guy calls in Chuck, and Chuck is like, I'm so sorry, Sam and Dean, for what you are about to see. And what they are about to see is they enter like a hotel lobby, and they see a guy who is wearing a leather jacket just like Dean Winchester. And they greet him. I mean, the guy greets them, and yeah, Dean is like, man, who the hell are you? And the guy goes, I'm Dean too. Duh. And if I'm being so for real right now, first thought immediately upon seeing this guy, damn, that's a really good Dean jacket. I wonder where he got it. I already have a Dean jacket, so I should not be greedy, and I should not dive. I should not be an overconsumption person. However, I don't know. I love a leather jacket.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. And I'll never be able to wear it until like the peak of when it's not hot because it's so hot. So that's horrible.
Sad.
Maybe I should just wear it in my room so I can sate my lifelong desires of being secretly Dean Winchester.
Sure, you could.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. This will 100% work on me. Like, I'm not even joking. If there was a supernatural convention that wasn't the convention circuit of today, I think I would be there no matter what. Like, honestly. Maybe I'll get a US visa and everything.
So true.
They come in. There's more people. There's like a clown. There's a fucking hookman, a scarecrow, some random ghosts. It's wonderful, honestly. There's a guy who's like Ash, like with the mullet and everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of merch and there's a lot of books. And Becky comes in and she goes, "It's a supernatural convention. The first one ever.
Fun.
Welcome to the first annual supernatural convention."
Yay. Fun.
Yay.
Yeah. So a lot of this is like the convention circuit had started already for Supernatural, right?
At this point, yeah.
So like, was some of this like a Eric Kripke cry for help?
Digging. I mean,
Like, Chuck is not happy to be there.
is he not?
I don't think Chuck is happy to be there.
Was Eric Kripke ever active in the circuit conventions? I thought that was predominantly an actor thing.
The writers are there too.
Yeah. There is like an event. Is it DCVB or is that a fan fiction event? There's one that's like the
that
big
sounds like
one.
the Destiel Big Bang to me. So
Yeah. I don't think that's it. Is it SDCC? Yes,
San Diego
it's the
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, should we say? You've been, right? You didn't pay, but you have been.
It wasn't like a proper one. Like they didn't invite like actor people
Also,
or
by
whatever.
Crystal didn't pay, I meant fully that Crystal paid for the event. So
What?
yeah. Didn't you just sneak in? Again, not true
Yes.
to everyone listening. But yeah, Crystal was there illegally. But,
It's true.
yeah.
I was.
But, yeah.
I gave them my money and I didn't walk past them very fast. You're right.
I mean, Supernatural was always active in that gig. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and like I think that I see some writer interviews from there. So
I know that writers have to be
they
there
were at
because
least active there.
whoever killed Charlie, like, doesn't someone ask a question about that to that writer? And then the actors
and then
all
the
like
actors
turn their
turn
back
around.
on that person, but
Yeah.
like only jokingly. And like, yeah, that's a clip that goes around.
Yeah.
I think Charlie is their apology for Becky at first, actually.
Yeah. And then they had to apologize for Charlie by
killing
bringing Charlie back.
Yeah.
My God. Well, yeah. Is Eric Kripke? Does Eric Kripke hate his fans? The answer is yes.
Yes.
He hates his fans that are women, and he hates that he has a female-dominated fan base.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of this is wish fulfillment, the crowd makeup here. It's like a part wish fulfillment and part, I don't like, they don't want people in drag, but Bobby's in, like, the Bobby person, well, I don't know.
There were definitely, I think, ones that are like, you're supposed to be like, oh, these people are in drag, so that's something.
Yeah. Well.
Like a beard that's drawn
Right.
in or something.
Yeah.
Just like me for real.
But yeah, I like Eric Kripke hates his fans. And his female fans especially. I don't, like, the Supernatural writers don't, who decided that cons were gonna be a thing? Was that, like, the CW?
I think it's a different establishment. Like, it's a different corporation.
So, like
Creation Entertainment has cons for other stuff.
But, like, did the CW contract with Creation Entertainment to do cons for all of their shows that reach a certain number of viewers? Or, like, I'm assuming, like, Eric Kripke didn't reach out to Creation Con himself to set this stuff up.
Yeah, I don't think it's an Eric Kripke. Well, you know what? Let's look it up.
How I mean, I don't know. People love to say things about the cons, so I don't know how to... Okay. What, like, who started the Supernatural conventions? I don't know how to find this information.
Yeah. I don't know. I also don't know. There was a time where I knew a lot about the conventions just by virtue of being in the fandom. Like, I knew that JibCon is the only one where they have a Misha Jensen panel, for example. Which is kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, like, I get YouTube recommendations too. Like, we know that is the one.
Yeah. I mean, not YouTube recommendations. I mean, like, if you hang out in the Tumblr tag, and because I didn't have Tumblr, I just hang out in the Tumblr tag. Like, it truly is the worst of the worst that gets filtered on top. I'm so sorry. I love the Supernatural fandom. Or do I, is the question of all time.
So apparently the pilot of Supernatural, like, was shown at Comic-Con, like, before the show dropped. So I would assume this is a CW thing where they start by trying to get the con fan base and then keep bringing Supernatural back, but I'm not getting specific Yeah, I don't think Eric Kripke has the power to demand that his pilot previews at Comic-Con. Anyway, so I guess whatever. My main point was just that I don't think any of the Supernatural writers or even actors chose the con life. And part of this episode may be Eric Kripke being like, I hate doing this so much. We are in that hotel auditorium, cutting to a little bit later. A con manager comes up to the mic and says that the panels at this convention will be Frightened Little Boy, The Secret Life of Dean, and homoerotic subtext of Supernatural. What about Sam?
Yeah. These are, of course, the topics also in Busty Asian Beauties, the Supernatural Commentary podcast.
Yeah, though, I mean, also, what about Sam? Whatever, homoerotic subtext is actually about Sam Chuck, even though Chuck isn't
about Sam.
Yeah, it's purely about Sam.
That's
so
the
there.
Sam panel. They were like, let's
Exactly.
do one Dean panel and then do one Sam panel. And the Sam panel is about how he's gay as hell no matter what.
Exactly. Sam and Dean are both standing in the back, just reacting with their faces to all of this. And then there's a big hunt at 7 p.m. This guy introduces Chuck, who just looks...
Harper Edland!
Yeah. Good for him. He doesn't look too psyched to be there. He's very awkward.
He's so funny. He's so funny. I'm shocked at how amusing I find Chuck. Like, even in all the episodes he has been so far, he's the most amusing character ever, I think. Like,
yeah, probably,
the bit of him being like, this is not as awkward as we thought it would be, and then he drinks water for like a solid minute or whatever. Like, it is genuinely hilarious.
Yeah. I'm happy for him for being so funny. Again, like all the funny that Sam doesn't have, etc.
Yeah.
He asks if there are any questions, and everybody raises their hand. And as we said, like basically every character here at the con is a man. And that was not my impression for... Just, like, based on what the books look like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, this is true. Like, it is fascinating the way they, like, in Monster of the Week, they have, like, the fans, or, like, the big fan be a woman. And then, obviously, the covers are, like, pandering to women.
Yeah,
and then,
or just people who are attracted to men. I guess maybe all the men here could be gay. Like, we know the two that we talk to are.
This is completely fucking true. Wow, I can't believe we were peddling heteronormative ideals yet again. Yeah, maybe they're all gay,
not... Okay, some of them were at least also attracted to women, though, because the actress for Letitia Gore got hit up by a bunch of Dean cosplayers. But maybe they were just being in character. Like, maybe they weren't actually interested.
No, I mean, everybody was... Like, she was saying that, like, everybody has told me that line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's true.
Maybe when she was like, they're afraid to talk to women, it's because they're gay as hell.
Maybe so. But yeah, it does seem like the cover... The target of the cover art is, like, straight women. And
I suppose.
The fan base was represented as female in the past. So, yeah, I don't quite understand why they changed it up here. Probably just because they were like, we've decided that we're going to have characters go with Sam and Dean on a hunt. And, like, icky women wouldn't be able to do it. So.
And there will, like maybe the mindset is like, it's gonna be a different dynamic or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, because these are like... Yeah, it does suck that, like, this is the
woman
episode
that we, quote, hunt with. Like, it's a completely different dynamic than the other ones because she's not a fan.
Right. And then the one woman who is a fan is Becky, who we are not to take seriously in any way. And then, like, this is, like... Because I feel like... is it Damien or Damian? What's this person? It's Barnes and Damien.
It's Damien.
Yeah, Barnes and Damien are like the first two fans that like we're supposed to like
connect
with. Because the Ghostfacers I think are sort of like that, but like we're just supposed to laugh at them the whole time. But yeah, like they're the first fans.
The Ghostfacers are not fans,
and they're not. They're like. They are trying to do what Sam and Dean do, but they don't read the books. Yeah. But yeah, like, these are, like, fans that we're supposed to take seriously somewhat. And, like, they're also men. And that is unfortunate, especially in an episode with Becky in it.
Yeah.
Chuck gets a few questions, all from men. Barnes asks how he came up with Sam and Dean in the first place. And Chuck is very nervous because said Sam and Dean are in the back just going like, what are you going to say, Chuck, huh? What the fuck are you going to say, Chuck? And he just goes, it just came to me, which is true. I mean, he had visions.
Yeah.
And the next person who asks the question is dressed as the Hookman. And Eric Kripke heard me last episode when I said, isn't it so racist that they make fun of El Salvadorian and Japanese accents, but not Patrick's Irish accent? He was like, I fucking got you. I understand. Because this guy has a German accent and it is absolutely and that's for the whole joke.
That is the whole joke of his character. Like, haha, this guy has a German accent. It's so funny.
Racism
over. God. It's hilarious that we were just talking about it, and now we're here. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that we would make it this far?
And, okay, I mean, obviously, the actual solution is to not make fun of anybody's accent. And, like, this is, like, a larger thing of Supernatural just being very US-centric. But also, like, I'm somewhat satisfied.
The satisfaction comes from the fact that we brought it up in the past. Like, if we never talked about Patrick in that way, this would be like, God, Supernatural is so American-centric and like so US-centric. It's so annoying. But because we did claim to want equality in terms of the accents to make fun of, well, here we are. You reap what you fucking sow.
Thank you, Eric Kripke and Nancy Weiner. He asks why in every fight scene Sam and Dean always have their gun knocked away when they should just keep it on some kind of bungee. And Sam's like, you know what? That's a good idea.
Well, first of all, they're like, that's so stupid. I think still the vibe.
Sam but is later giving like a sort of thoughtful look at it. I think Dean has the that's so stupid face, but I think we just looked at different portions of the screen.
This is true. Sam is an early investor in technology.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Exactly. God. Sam owns an Apple Watch. I know it.
Sam definitely 100%. He uses an Apple Watch later. Maybe not an Apple Watch.
Wait, like in the show?
Yeah, like he's running and he checks his heartbeat. I'm so serious.
That's like a Fitbit, though. That's different.
Okay, fine. When he sees Eileen, this is how he does it. Like he's jogging. Yeah. He checks his watch, and then Eileen is there. Like it's so iconic.
But yeah, Chuck can't answer this one. And then the guy goes, yeah, follow up. And
just like me, for real. A person who says yeah in every single conversation through text.
And he says that it's obvious that Ruby is evil and manipulating Sam into some kind of moral lapse. He goes, it's obvious, 9. And Sam doesn't look very happy at this. Sorry to Sam about this. Like Ruby also gets brought up in changing channels. Like Sam is not catching a break regarding this.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's important to remember that these people have not seen season 4. They don't know what happens in season 4. So.
That's true. So Sam's probably especially upset that like this guy seems to be able to tell before the actual reveal and way before Sam suspected anything. Yeah, that is true. Sad. And Becky like stalks over to the guy and goes like, hey, if you don't like the books, don't read them, Fritz. I don't know if Fritz is a reference to something or if like they're friends. And she invited him over and now she's like, shut the fuck up.
She's like, you're embarrassing me, Fritz.
Yeah, like maybe that's like her Hookman costume because she's like you have to dress up, you have to be good, and he's just not helping out.
I fully understand her sentiment. There was a time in my life where, especially when there was like a lot of influx of like, haha, that's so funny during the like after
November 5th,
you know,
and that was me.
I had I had like a very strong reaction of, if you're just going to sit here and say this show is so stupid and blah blah blah, like just leave, just block the tag. I truly was. You know what? Yeah. There were many things in life that were happening during that time. Yeah, in the world.
There was a pandemic.
Ew, there was a pandemic. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And yeah. Do you remember when 100K happened?
Yes.
And you and I and a couple people that we knew were like chatting over, like, you know, we were like talking on Discord while we were waiting for it to happen, and we were like all staying up in some manner. Like we were obviously all in different time zones, and for me it was dead of the afternoon, like 1, and I was isolating, like I was, what's the term? There's a term, quarantined. I was quarantined because I had COVID. So, like, I don't know. What a time in our lives. I remember being like, I'm going to I'm so miserable right now. I've not talked to anyone real in like a week. And yeah. And we were just sitting there, and it was such a fun time. It was a break from the monotony of quarantine.
Yeah.
So yeah. Supernatural was in the worst time of my life. And did it make it even worse? Who knows? But it did help a little bit.
Someone next asks, like, at the end of the last book, Dean goes, "Hell, what happens next?" And Chuck goes, like, "Actually, I have an announcement about that." And he is continuing to look so scared at Sam and Dean. But he goes, "Thanks to a wealthy Scandinavian investor, we're going to start publishing again." Do we find out who this wealthy Scandinavian investor is?
No, I don't think so.
All right. But yeah, everyone starts standing ovationing him, cheering, clapping, yelling.
What made me so happy, again, is that the last time they see is season 3, and they don't even know how Dean's going to go back and everything. They haven't met Cass yet. And now they're going through. Which is why I was like, "Ooh, yeah." Like, if this was like, we're going to start publishing season 5, I'd be like, ugh, who give a shit? Well, because it's like they're going to meet Cass. The most wonderful character ever.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that Cass. Right. No, you're right. So homoerotic subtext panel is probably just wincest then.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, if they were saying homosexual subtext
or homoerotic subtext,
no, like if they said homosexual subtext or whatever, like gay subtext, I would assume that it's just individual characters, like an exploration of their sexuality,
right?
But because they said homoerotic subtext, I'm like, I think they're going to do incesting. I mean, has Sam ever had chemistry with anyone ever by season 3? No, because Chuck shows up in season 4.
You liked Sam and Sarah, but by anyone ever you meant with a man.
Yes, but with a man. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Patrick also. Patrick shows up in season 5.
This is
Cass
true.
shows up in season 4. It's very difficult.
Gabriel. I mean, the trickster was there.
That's true.
And they were gonna fuck it out raw, or maybe not. I'm not sure. I've not made up my mind.
Yeah.
We're so like.
I'm sure I'm missing
the thing
something.
is, like, we're so shipping filled recently. Like, we're always talking about shipping Sam and Dee with whoever the fuck is on screen. And like, I want everyone to know that I'm not kidding. I know I say everything in a comedic tone, and I laugh at everything I say at any given opportunity. But literally, like, Chuck and Sam, I think, would have made for a great pair.
Yeah, I agree. Saberhole would probably be interesting also.
I mean, anything can be profound as long as you look close enough and love hard enough, I guess.
Yeah, just like Jimmy O. Young. A little bit later, people are getting drinks, and Chuck brings Becky a cocktail called a yellow-eyed cooler. And he's just doing a thing where he's like, "I'm a nice guy, and I'm like trying to ask this girl out." It is exactly the same as with Risa. And while in 504, it was Dean who cucked him. This time it is Sam who cucks him, and thus he has been. But like, I guess in the end, he and Becky end up together. So I guess Jared's. What is that post about Jared being a sexual behemoth? You know the one.
Yeah, I of course know the one. Didn't they call like Jensen like
the virgin?
There's like a term that they use that I've completely forgotten.
Virgin. They call him many things.
They call him a virgin, but they call him an adjective before virgin. Like,
I don't remember. Jared's not afraid to hug you with his whole body. What else does it say? I'll look up sexual behemoth Jared Padalecki. I think it'll happen. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Jared Padalecki is a physical and sexual behemoth.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my god, you have this Tumblr
Mr.
blog.
Touch Me Not? Is that the one?
I don't know. Apparently, I've blocked this Tumblr.
I mean, they're like a wincesty or something. No, wait, they're not a wincesty because I hate Dean. They're a Sasty Eller, actually, I think.
Oh, they're not saying that Jensen virginal and untouched Jensen Ackles.
There we go.
What the fuck is going on? Again, we're asking the question of whether Gray likes or dislikes the supernatural fandom, and we will never know the answer.
I don't think they're a Sastiel. I don't know what their deal is. But yeah, I guess
I have the Wincest block tag. No, tag blocked. And like when I opened their account, it said like #Wincest, do you want to open this post? So like
But they also tagged this post STL specifically so that the people that they hate will see it.
I suppose.
So I guess I don't know. But anyway, I guess despite the fact that Jared Padalecki is a physical and sexual behemoth, a beautiful tempest, and not shy, and not afraid to hug you with his whole body, and not a virgin, and not made of porcelain, and can and will be rough and handsy, I guess Chuck does end up with Becky and not with Risa, so I don't know. Congratulations. But anyway.
Who are we congratulating?
To Chuck, I think, I do think it's annoying that the writers are doing a thing with the writer character where they're like, he's like a nice guy, but like girls will never notice him because like Dean's around and because Sam's around, but Becky does eventually notice Chuck even though Sam's around. So I'm congratulating Chuck, I suppose. In the midst of him trying to ask Becky out, she, like, is ignoring him and then goes, "Oh, hi, Sam." Sam's just like, okay, hi. But Sam and Dean are having a confrontation with Chuck where they're like, "Stop publishing more books. Like, we don't have time for this shit." And the whole time, Becky's like, just making faces at Sam to get him to come closer to her or whatever. And Sam asks, like, "Why are you publishing more books?" And Chuck goes, "For food and shelter," which is so really so funny, is the thing, though.
By the way, like, Dean mentions finding the cult here, which is what instigates the plot development later.
Right.
I just want to mention that.
Yeah, he's trying to find the cult. And Dean asks, "Who gave you the rights to our life story?" And Chuck goes, "An archangel, and I didn't want it." Ugh. He's so fun. He's so interesting. Like, it was an archangel, and he didn't want it. And Sam goes, like, "No more books. Our lives are not for public consumption."
Are you getting tired of this thing Supernatural is doing, whatever the fuck it is?
It's
you're not a
evil
TV show.
for watching.
No.
It's not a show where real people, whatever. Yeah, I just don't really see how it fits into any larger apocalypse themes. Like, I guess, like, it's like the commodification of the body through, like, the vessel thing, and then, like, the commodification of the life story or whatever. I guess you could say that those are related, but
I mean, yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
I think perhaps they would do it a bit more interesting later on. Although, I also have my doubts regarding that. But maybe I think that because I'm seeing Chuck here right now, and it's making me dislike what they do to him later. So, yeah.
Mayhaps so. And then, yeah, Chuck asks Becky to leave so he can speak to them in private.
And he does, and they go to like a separate room. And this Chuck goes, "Do you guys know what I do for a living?" And Sam goes, "Yeah, Chuck, we know." And Chuck goes, "Then could you tell me?" God, he's so dramatic. I love it. Because I don't, all right. And he says, like, he's not a good writer. He has no marketable skills. I'm not some hero who can just hit the road and fight monsters, okay? Yeah, and he says, like, well, I need to sustain myself. And the supernatural books is all I've got. What else do you want me to do? And I did like this. And they were interrupted by a woman screaming. And so Sam and Dean go off and run towards the scream. And Chuck tries to stop them, but, you know, they're intent on doing all this crap. And they get there. Sam is helping up this woman. And she's like, "Oh, I saw a ghost." And, like, Barnes shows up behind them. Barnes, by the way, is the dean. How are we going to refer to them? The
Is
Dean
Barnes
Larper.
the dean? I don't think I know the names of...
Oh, no, you're right.
I
Barnes
Barnes
is
was
the Sam.
The Sam, yeah.
And Damien is the Dean.
Yeah.
I just assumed that they would name the Sam Damien because it's close to demon, and that's what Supernatural does. Why not? And Dean reads
dies in a barn.
Dean reads just like Barnes and Noble.
Real.
Maybe what they're saying here is that Dean doesn't read, and that's why we're getting Sam as Barnes. But yeah, like Dean is like, "Oh, fuck off." The woman starts talking about like, "Oh, there's this lady and she showed up and it's terrifying," and she goes like, "Okay, gather around, everybody," and Sam and Dean realize that this is part of the hunt. It's LARPing. They're LARPing. And yeah, Becky hands Sam like a piece of paper that's like the announcement. And it's so funniest thing in the world. It's written as if it's written by John in the journal. Dan's journal. "Dear Sam and Dean, this hotel is haunted. You must hunt down the ghosts, interview witnesses, discover clues, and find the bones. First team to do so wins a $50 gift card to Sizzler. Love
Dad.
Which is, of course,
Love Dad
the
is
most
less in character
unrealistic.
than first team to do so wins a $50 gift card to Sizzler.
Literally, Love That is the most unrealistic part of this fucking announcement post. It's so funny. So yeah. The hunt begins for the price of a $50 gift card to Sizzler. They go around and there's like different people being interviewed by different people. And there's like this, honestly, a lot of the scenes in this episode are like fun and funny, which are two separate things, when a lot of times they're often both. And I really did quite like the part where like they all show their badges and they're all in a circle and they're all wearing their FBI. And
Yeah.
I find so nice that like these people literally did get like suits separate. Because earlier they were wearing their usual Sam and Dean outfit.
Right.
And now they're not. And that's really fine. And they're all showing their badges. And the comm manager just addresses them all together. It's like, well, yes, Agents Lennon and McCartney, which is so fine. And yeah, they're giving out the lore, etc., etc. And Dean is like, "Oh, this is so corny."
Well,
And
are you gonna say the lore? It's like relevant to the case.
oh yeah, well, the lore is that this indeed is a haunted building, and it was an orphanage, and like the orphanage was ran by Letitia Gore, wonderful name. This very night, so like they really did the anniversaries right. 100 years ago, she allegedly, oh well, I mean, let's spoil it. Like she was known to have killed 4 kids and then killed herself. But, you know, later on we learn that there's more complexity to this matter. And the lore is that these kids and her are trapped in this establishment. And as this is happening, there's 2 people who are dressed up as Sam and Dean. It's Barnes and Damien. And like the Dean, so Damien, is going like, Dad's, and he's putting on the lowest voice possible, which is so fun for me. He's going, Dad
also,
said.
These are books. Like, they have no reason to think that Sam and Dean talk this way.
No, maybe they do. Maybe, like, everybody's making a comment about how fucking low Dean's voice is, and he's truly outmasking himself every single day.
Maybe that's what Chuck's writing about.
Yeah. And yeah, Damien is like, Dad said, he said I may have to kill you. And literally they're just having this conversation in the hallway, which is so funny. And the Sam is like, kill me? What the hell does that mean? And Damien just goes, I don't know. And they just keep on walking, which is obviously what they also do in Supernatural. It's exactly what they do in Supernatural.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, Sam and Dean are just like, what the fuck is going on? And they go for a drink.
Yeah, they say I need a drink in unison. Yeah. And earlier, like, they say, like, see what or whatever in unison when they're talking to Chuck before they find out about the con. Yeah, and Becky goes, I love it when they talk at the same time. And you know what? Sometimes I find it fun when they talk at the same time too, Becky. So we're following some of the guests trying to do the case. There's someone who has like a cardboard EMF thing that they're holding out, but like it's always on high due to its cardboard. It's fun.
It's fun, yeah.
There's a woman who jumps out at him, but like she's like clearly an actress who's not very good at it. Where she just goes, I mean old Letitia Gore. They buried me in the basement. Ooh. And then
literally the moment like this and like later on when she was like trying to round up those kids.
Yeah.
All I could think of was like, I would do such a banger job in this role. Like if I was this woman, Sam and Dean, they wouldn't even have to fucking burn the bones. I would have instructed those children to eviscerate themselves and they would have done it.
The guy shoots like a Nerf gun at her and she's just like, ow, you got me. Ow. And he's like, you're supposed to vanish.
Disappear. And she's like, I don't know how to do that. Which is so real of her.
Yeah. And he's walking around later, and then there's, like, a boy that appears. And this time we know that it's a ghost, because, like, he materializes out of nowhere. And the kid goes, help us! Miss Gore won't let us have any fun. And then the ghost disappears, and Alex starts screaming and shit. And then he goes, that was and he's about to say awesome. He's attacked by some unseen presence. He's bleeding and shit. And then there's a woman's voice that goes, naughty, naughty, naughty.
And I literally did not decipher that this was naughty, naughty, naughty. I was also not watching with subtitles. And I was like, is she saying naughty, 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 just like in Shakespeare?
And she was. She's sort of running in his direction. And then, like, the ghosts disappear.
We go to, like, the hotel bar. Sam and Dean are seated, and Dean is seated beside the actress for Letitia Gore. And she is, like, on her phone texting away. And Dean turns to her and asks how she's doing. And the lady.
I mean, one could characterize how you doing with like a flirtatious air as asking her how she's doing. But I don't know. I don't think he wants to know that bad.
Okay, fine. He's saying, how you doing? Just like a Phineas and Ferb. I don't know. Like, was he I thought well, you sure look lovely tonight was like the start of the flirtation. So that's how I characterize it in my head. But yeah, he is flirting with this woman. And he's saying like, well, you look lovely for a dead chick. And the lady is like, okay, well, I've heard that line 17 times tonight. And all from dudes wearing MacGyver jackets.
So
hey, my
real.
jacket is so nice and original.
Well, you wouldn't
so
say you look
over that
lovely tonight,
funny-
especially for a dead chick, so your jacket is different.
Exactly. She looks up from her phone and she sees Tina and she smiles a little bit. Which is...
I hate it.
I hate
it so much. Like,
I
it was a funny
every single
joke
guy who's wearing a leather
beforehand.
jacket should be a loser. Including myself.
So true. It was a funny joke. It was just like a Dean, your lines aren't original, and everyone here has got you down to like a T or whatever. Like, that's a funny joke. But as soon as she turns around, she's like, oh, actually, though, you're different, and I want to fuck you. But it's like, well, what are we doing here? Like, what is this for? Like, we can't even make fun of Dean for like 1 second. Like, it has to be like
Yeah.
a sorry for misjudging you. You're actually better than all of those stupid fans, and you're really hot, and I want you. It's annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah.
I'm irritated.
What it is like she clocked all those people as gay as hell. And she's like, well, this could work out. And that's why she's entertaining him. I'm so sorry. Is it actually homophobic to call all the Supernatural fans gay as hell? What is the levels of homophobia here?
Huh. Well, I don't know. I think, well, you're just saying gay as hell to mean gay, and the as hell is just a extra. Yeah, what purpose does the as hell serve?
Just for fun. No, I mean,
for
that's
fun.
not my question. It's not about the semantics of the words used. It's about, is it homophobic to call people gay?
Wait, but you're saying that they're actually same-sex attracted. Like, you're not using it to mean anything else.
Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, maybe it is homophobic that I'm asking if it's homophobic.
Like, the books are clearly, like, the books clearly use sex to sell themselves, so one could assume that if men are at this convention, they're attracted to the Sam and Dean characters in the book.
As this conversation is just about to start, the guy from earlier comes rushing down, and he's upset because, there's a real fucking ghost. Like, it beat him up and then disappeared. And Sam's like, you saw something? And the guy turns to him and goes, this is part of the game, jerk. And yeah, he leaves. And Sam and Dean are like, maybe there is something to all this. And so they go and interview the manager of the hotel, who doesn't want to talk to them. But they insist, and by they, I mean Dean, and by insist, I mean give the manager money. So the manager tells them that this is actually true. Like, the lore is actually true. And it truly was called the Gore Orphanage, which is an astounding name.
Yeah,
We're
very
being
children's
so real right
hospital, red paint. Yeah.
Literally.
God, it is so chuck to, like, I mean, there's gotta be someone, like, there's gotta be discourse about the Supernatural books somewhere, right? And, like, as soon as people heard about this con, they're like, it is so typical of the man who writes fictional books about how hot real serial killers Sam and Dean Winchester are. It is so like him to do this con regarding a real actual murder that happened in this building 100 years ago.
Well, first of all, they don't know that it's Winchester. But I suppose you can make the connection.
Yeah,
that
I
is
suppose.
called Sam and Dean.
It's pretty easy. Yeah. Sam and Dean and anyone who like is looking at the FBI Most Wanted, because, or like just has heard like was in the city for one of like the cases.
There is like, so they're like, they know like in the real world there what happened in Skin actually did happen.
Yes,
and people did find those bodies and the SWAT team was there. So like, what's the situation? Did Chuck also write that in the book? And people are like, oh, he's making fanfic about fucking these characters. Yes. Not fucking these characters, but these fucking characters.
I think so. I think he writes everything down as it happened. It's just that not that many people have noticed for some reason.
Yeah, I suppose that can be the case. Dean asks, like, oh, where did this all happen? But the manager doesn't want to tell them. Dean slides over and goes, you should talk to my buddy Ulysses. Which is so stupid. I'm so sorry, everyone. He did not actually say that because Dean is cooler than me. So yeah, it's in the attic. So Sam and Dean go there, I suppose. But this conversation was heard over by Damien and Barnes. So they have been hearing this too.
Yeah. So they're in the attic with the EMF, which is going off a lot. Dean's grumbling about the situation, and he's like, these people deserve to die. And, well, Sam says that this won't end well, and Dean says serves them right. And, like, someone does die soon. So,
yeah.
Like, Damien and Barnes are also around the attic area. And Damien's, like, in character the whole time doing the voice. Barnes isn't. And Damien just keeps going like, hey, just stay in character, right? Because if it's just me, I look stupid. One of the ghost boys appears and goes, help us. Barnes goes like, oh my god, that makeup is amazing. But, you know, he was out of character. Boo. So, once again, the ghost line is Miss Gore won't let us have any fun. Damien asks where the body is buried, and the boy points at, like, a painting on the wall. And then when they move the painting away, there's bloody handprints on the wall and on the back of it. And then
it's so fucking in your face.
Yeah, inside of it there is a map. And none of this was part of the game, which means that you're telling me that they kept this painting with bloody handprints on it for 100 years with the blood of murdered people on the back of it for 100 years? Why was there a map in there? What was that for?
And I mean, it's not like they're advertising this hotel as like a haunted hotel.
Like, did they like the painting that much? Like, what is this?
And also just change the backing. Like, you can just change the frame. I don't know.
You could paint over the bloody handprint on the wall behind it. I don't understand. Like, people clean this place. There's someone who moves aside that painting every week and, like, dusts the bloody handprints. Well,
they're like, this is just like it's Supernatural.
Exactly. They're all very excited about this. And then in the attic, another boy who is a ghost shows up and goes, my mommy loves me. And Sam turns around and goes like, I'm sure she does. And then he goes, my mommy loves me this much. And then he reveals that, like, part of his scalp has been removed and you can see his brain through everything. And then he
Yeah.
disappears.
Dean is like very upset by this.
Is he?
Like later on, he's like, "That's it. We need to kill this woman." I'm sure he uses worse words than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I was like, my immediate thought was like, "Oh, he cares about Sam's scalp. Like he understands that Sam's hair is so important to him, and that's why he's so upset." And then later on, they did try to scalp Sam. And I was like, I was right. Not a single joke I ever make doesn't come true in some way or another.
Indeed.
We have the scene where Becky is trying to get Sam's attention, and Chuck is also there watching all of this. And like Sam relates to Dean that out of the 4 kids that Letitia Gore killed, one of them was her son. And yeah, the kid was scalped, etc. And Dean goes, "That's it. I'm gonna deep fry this bitch extra crispy." As I've said, worse words than what I have shared.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to see where she's buried. Over the other table, they hear Barnes and Damien talking about where the cemetery is, about the map they saw. And Sam goes over, looks at the map, and just goes, "It's real. Like, this is a century old," and etc., etc. And Dean asks where they got the map, and they're like, "Dude, it's a fucking game. Leave us alone." But Dean eventually is like, so
What?
Damien. No, because I find it so funny. Like, Dean is like trying to get the fucking map from them. And Dean goes like, "Yeah, right, give me the map, Chuckles." And Damien goes, "You're the Chuckles, Chuckles." And then he moves his jacket aside to show his fake gun. And then Dean...
Well, and then Barnes goes.
Yeah, like, he tells Damien to cool it. And then Dean, like, takes out his gun, right? Mm-hmm. He, like, also moves his jacket. Which is... This guy wants to kill everyone so bad.
Yeah.
He truly is living it up with the gunboy dream. And Sam also stops Dean, just like how Barnes stopped Damien. And, yeah. Sam is like, "Look, we all want to find the bones, and if we work together faster, we can do it." And Damien's Barnes are like, "Well, we're going to get the Sizzler gift card, number 1. And number 2, we get to be Sam and Dean. So Sam and Dean have to be somebody else." And as they go out,
It's so fun
that they are Rufus and Bobby.
Yeah. Damien and Barnes want to share the Sizzler equivalent of a blooming onion in order to transform their outing into a romantic tryst, and good for them.
Exactly.
But yeah. So
This is
are you continuing, or where? How many?
what are the ethics of playing Rufus as a white man?
Yeah.
Let's discuss.
They don't really do any playing of Rufus though. Like, it lasts for like one line.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, they
Because
don't.
Dean was
they
like,
don't
"I
engage with
won't
it."
whitewash my friend Rufus," and that's why he went.
No, but like, I mean, there are people who play anime characters, like,
Right.
or white. So I suppose it's fine. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm not really attuned to the cosplay world,
This is
so
true.
I'm sure that there are discussions happening in there that I have not seen.
Yeah. I'm sure they have figured it out, or they have figured it out the ways that they have not figured it out.
Yeah.
Barnes and Damien proceed with their LARPing of the asylum conversation.
Yeah. Are they just
And-
playing out all of Sam and Dean's fights? Like, that's fun of them.
I don't think the dad said I would have to kill you is a fight.
Fair. Just moments of tension.
Yeah. The iconic dialogues. And like the Sam is going like, why are we even here, Dean? And like, I want everyone to know that I'm doing a way better job at fucking reenacting these lines than they are. And yeah, you're just following Dad's footsteps like a good little soldier. Are you that desperate for his approval? And yeah, like when Damon goes like, this isn't you talking, Sam, Dean like starts getting like super upset. And yeah, the conversation keeps on going and going.
Yeah, and Barnes is not a real fan because he goes, I got a mind of my own. I'm not pathetic. When the line is, I'm not pathetic like you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Literally. Dean finally snaps. And he starts saying like, I'm not Bobby, okay? So they give Rufus to Sam. You know what? I understand their vision, I suppose.
Huh.
I think
Dean's like
does
gruffer.
I think Dean does need to grow into a Bobby figure is what should happen.
He's dead, so I don't really know what. I don't have any future plans for him.
And Dean, yeah. They're both dead. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And Dean is like, you're not Sam, you're not Dean. What's wrong with you? Why in the hell would you choose to be these guys? And Barnes is like, well, we're fans. Barnes, you're a fake fan. Get a fucking over yourself. Just like you. And Dean is like, I'm not a fan. Okay?
Sam, I think that this Dean and Sam story sucks.
This is true because this story that is good is the Sam and Dean story.
The Sam and Dean story, exactly.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not entertaining. And yeah, he's so bitter. He's so upset.
Their pain is not for your amusement. Do you think they enjoy being treated like circus freaks?
Rich from a guy who treated circus freaks
that like
treats circus freaks in the past. But okay. And Damien is like, well, I mean, they're fictional, so they're the gaff.
He's so real. He's so real.
And Dean's like, oh, they care. Believe me, they care a lot. And then he storms off. And Sam just stands there and goes, he really takes this story seriously. And you know what? I commend Sam for the first time in the entirety of Supernatural not being the killjoy of the story. Like, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
So
for him. Sam's a lot less angry about this than Dean is. Is that true?
Yes. I think Dean has a lot more anger about the being part of a story and being part of the cycle. He has more feelings about it. Even in season 15, he has more feelings about it.
So, like, why is it that Sam is not that upset? Like, he's normal.
know.
Like, he understands that it's a book and the fans don't know.
You know what? I'm going to revise my statement. It's not that he has more feelings about it. He's just more upset about it. I think Sam has feelings about it also. But you're right. He's just not as upset with it. Which I think is fascinating. You're right. I've never thought about it.
So I feel like Sam's the one who's had a lot more fate shit happening to him, like starting season 2.
I think maybe Sam is just Catholic.
Right.
So it's fine. He's like, it's fine if they're writing my story. He understands his role as Jesus.
He's a saint? Or no, okay.
Literally.
Yeah, no, but I guess, he's like, there are plenty of people whose stories get written and everyone's like doing stuff about it every year. I'm just like all the saints for real.
Literally. And Dean is not a Catholic. He doesn't believe in saints. So there we go.
There we go. Indeed.
We've cracked it.
Yeah. We've cracked it. Yeah, I don't know. What's Dean even mad about? Like,
Well, from what we see, it's the like making it seem like their life, like being like, oh, your life is so cool, when he thinks it's so terrible. Which is so fascinating, again, because it's Sam who we are told thinks their life sucks, and Dean is the one who mythologizes it. So
I really don't know.
maybe to Dean, it's like, I can say that I can mythologize my life, but you can't.
Yeah.
Which I get. I get the vision.
Yeah, and I guess both of them are upset about the specific scenes that are being role played.
Yeah. Like for him, that's deep and meaningful and raw and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
To them, it's like just another dialogue line, I suppose.
Yeah. Though, both of the, yeah, okay. I guess the earlier thing would have been more upsetting to Sam, the like, dad said I might have to kill you thing. But like, I don't know. Sam's a guilty guy. He's probably over that because he feels like he deserves it or whatever. I don't know. Maybe Dean's still mad that Sam called him pathetic like 4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's mad about the inaccuracy of the dialogue.
Yeah, he was like, Sam says I'm not pathetic like you. Maybe that's
worse. Like, Sam did me dirtier than you're painting him as.
Exactly. In the cemetery, they find the graves of the 4 boys and Letitia Gore. And Damien and Barnes are, like, over in the grass looking for, like, fake bones. And Dean's like, they're, like, in the ground, though? And he and Sam pull out shovels. And
there was a moment where the two of them are like, I'm not sure. Like, they're like beginning to question who the fuck these people are.
Right. But yeah. They're like, this is like a game that we're playing. Like, what is happening? But Dean is just like, no, trust us. And everyone helps out with flashlights until he gets to the coffin of Letitia Gore and opens it, and it is a real skeleton. And at this point, Barnes and Damien are finally like, what the fuck? Like, you guys are crazy. You just dug up like a real grave of a real person. Like, what is happening? Like, hunters aren't real, and this isn't real, and you guys have lost your grip on reality. But while they're leaving, the ghost of Letitia Gore shows up, and she goes, naughty, 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 and she starts attacking them. Damien and Barnes are freaking out, and she seems to be about to kill them, but Dean is able to salt and burn the bones in time, and Dean goes, real enough for you, to Damien and Barnes, and they just look really, really scared and such. Dean is not being fair to these guys at all, but whatever.
Yeah. Dean is being so mean.
He is. He's being so mean. I think he could just, like, his gaydar was pinging, and he was like, I just really hate these 2 people in particular for some reason, but I don't know why. And then finally in the end, it's like, oh, it's because I'm homophobic. But yeah.
Yeah, howdy partner.
He really is homophobic, though. Like, canonically, he's homophobic. So,
let's discuss it later. Like,
okay.
Truly a scene. A set of lines, even.
Uh-huh.
And they're back in the hotel bar, and Barnes and Damien drinking up, and yeah, Dean, well, he answers their bill. Is that a term?
He covers
he pays for He covers their bill. Which is like my defense in your homophobic status. Not status, statement.
He's not homophobic because he paid for their drinks.
Exactly. And Damon asks, like, how did you know to do all that? And they were like, it's because we read the books.
Sam's the one who says that because Sam seems to be the maintainer of the fantasy for this episode.
Yeah, this is true. And Dean goes to Chuck and he says, hey, good luck with the supernatural books and screw you very much.
They should have burned the kids' bones. Like, they know that the kids are ghosts.
They know that they were
also.
There. Yeah. They're just never going to give the children peace,
on
I
them. Guess. Like, they could have just done it all in one go, and it would have been fine.
And, the manager is sitting beside Chuck and goes, fan of yours? And Chuck considers this for a while and goes, I'd say no, which is so funny.
Indeed.
They literally are not. And as Sam and Dean try to get out of the hotel, they realize that the main doors are locked. The windows locked. Every exit is locked as if something is keeping them in. Horrible. And the lady from earlier,
the actress,
like, she screams and Sam and Dean go to her and she's like, don't go in there. And in the corner, the boy is still there. And he's saying, why did you send my mommy away? And Dean goes, maybe because of the high and light she gave you, huh? How about some thanks? Which is like, dude,
bro.
I get that he's really upset this episode, but come on, Dean. He goes, I'm just saying a little gratitude would be nice once in a while. And the boy says, my mommy didn't do this to me. And so Sam asks who did, but the ghost disappears.
Gasp.
And we go to a hallway where the German hookman is walking. And 3 of the other ghost boys show up. And he goes, yeah, how original. Supernatural bringing us more creepy children. And yeah, these children, creepy. And they're like, Miss Gore wouldn't let us have any fun. But now that she's gone, we can have all kinds of fun. And then they bring out their huge knives. And like, by the way, like this entire time, like the Hookman's like, oh, like you don't look like real ghosts, blah blah blah. Which, like, you know what? I think anybody who goes to an event where there's supposed to be ghosts or horror, like a haunted house or something, and they like talk to the actors, you're terrible. You're a terrible person. It's what I think. Like, maybe this guy deserved to die.
I mean, Eric Kripke and Nancy Weiner certainly thought so. Like,
they were like, yeah, you should commit to every bit, is my belief. And this guy wasn't.
I do think it's fascinating that they have a character who's like, there are like plot holes in Supernatural or whatever. And like he's like the only one that they kill in this episode, right?
Yeah. Also, I think it is known that Supernatural is big in Germany.
Right, because of the German dub where Dean says the f-slur.
Does he really?
I've heard of this. I don't know what scene it is.
Is it the one? Why? Why would he say it? When would he say it even?
I don't know. Maybe it was in Fairy Tales. I can see it.
You know how we mentioned last time that Denmark is our second most listeners, first being the United States. Our third is Germany. So,
nice.
Like, I'm saying, like,
oh my god,
there are
okay.
many German watchers of Supernatural.
It's in Tall Tales. It's when Dean's like talking about Sam like comforting the witness, and he's like, the one where like he hugs the guy and Dean's retelling is like, you brave, beautiful soldier, you. And then Dean says, you always say fag shit like that. But in the original, it was, you're always saying pansy stuff like that. So, like, I think it's a fairly accurate translation, I think. Supernatural, horrible show. Yes.
It is a big possibility. The guy dies. R.I.P. I guess there's a scream because Sam and Dean ought to find him. Chuck is like hosting another Q&A, I guess, for one of the panels. What do you think panel this is for? I am going to...
Well, he says, thank you for your incredibly probing and rigorous questions. So I think it's the homoerotic subtext one. And also in the schedule, the homoerotic subtext one was after Frightened Little Boy. Oh, wait, but that was actually at 4, and the hunt begins at 7. So it seems like this would be a different panel, unless it went on for so long and only some people went to join the hunt.
Is the hunt still going? Maybe this is the ender for the hunt. This is like the
But
end
no one found the
of
fake bones.
Did they?
No winner
How do you
has
know
been
that?
announced.
How do you know?
I mean, I just feel like Damien and Barnes would have brought it up at some point.
Yeah, and they just saw a real ghost for the first time. They burned the bones of a real ghost. And
Exactly.
they're like, damn, we really missed that fucking sizzler opportunity. Sam, as Chuck is closing in on this panel about homoerotic subtext in Supernatural, Sam comes in and grabs him by the shoulder and leans into his ear and whispers. And like Chuck goes, "What? Holy crap!" And then Sam like turns off the mic so that the audience won't hear him. And yeah, he goes, "You gotta keep everyone safe in here, Chuck. This is life or death." And yeah, for as long as it takes. Yeah, and Chuck's like, "How the hell am I supposed to do that?" And Sam goes, "I don't know, man. Just do it." And this is the scene where I was like, God damn, Sam is so tall. Sam is so ungodly tall. And he truly is. Yeah, Chuck is like, wow, so I guess we have more time and I can tell you more things.
Gina's getting all the hotel staff into the auditorium to watch Chuck's panel as well. Chuck is starting to talk about how there's going to be angels in the next books. They're not nearly as lame as you think, is what he says about angels. So Sam and Dean figure out that the situation is that the 3 boys were LARPing as cowboys and Indians. Unfortunate. And they probably actually scalped Letitia's son, and he died. And then she sees that this happened, and then freaks out and kills them all. And then herself. Sorry to this woman. That was probably a really bad, 3 minutes of your life. And now you're, stuck being a ghost, making sure they don't kill other people the whole time. Now that Letitia's gone, there's nobody keeping those guys under control anymore. So they have to burn the kids' bones, but they're trapped in here. And Dean is like, my idea is that since these ghost boys were scared of ghost Letitia Gore, we can just get the actress for her to go yell at them, and they have terrible eyesight, so they won't be able to tell it's a completely different woman. I don't know how this goes, but whatever.
It kind of works for a bit.
It does, but I don't understand how. But yeah, so we cut to a bit later. We skip whenever Sam and Dean tell the actress that ghosts are real, but supposedly they had to convince her of this. I mean, I guess she saw the scalped little boy, but I would personally just read that as oh, like, I wasn't told about all the other actors on set. Like, I don't think I'd be down to believe in ghosts that fast. But
Oh, I'm down to believe in ghosts very fast.
yeah, that is valid. Dean goes, "You're an actress. We just want you to act." And she goes, "I work at Hooters in Toledo." Good for her. I hope this joint is paying better. So they're convincing her, and then Damien and Barnes come over and say that they want to help. Oh, also Dean tells Sam that he should finish convincing her by giving her the puppy dog thing. Incredibly
So
funny. But yeah, Damien and Barnes go like we know this is real and we're terrified, but if all these people are in trouble, we've got to do something. And Dean goes, "Why?" And Damien goes, "Because that's what Sam and Dean would do." Which I think was nice. I mean, it's like they're doing a pretty heavy-handed thing
Also.
where, like, through Damien and Barnes, Dean is learning to appreciate his own life again or whatever, or see that he's a hashtag hero or whatevs. But I think it works for the episode that it is.
This works definitely way better than what they do at the end, is what I think.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I would want to wake up and save the world every day with a brother who would die for me. That sounds stressful, so.
Yeah, and also, like, the way they're, like, being a normal worker of a normal job is so horrible. You should want to kill yourself with that life. Like, what's happening?
I mean, that's what It's a Terrible Life was about, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, Supernatural is obsessed with this idea that, like, normal life is so terrible, which is, like, fascinating.
But they're
because
also
that's what they're
obsessed
trying
with
to
the
protect.
idea that, yeah, like, Sam and Dean are trying to achieve normal life. I don't know. I guess they alternate between, like, Sam and Dean's life sucks and, like, Sam and Dean's life is wish fulfillment and all you people wish that you could quit your jobs and then get shot to death immediately. So, I don't know.
Exactly.
There's a brief thing of Chuck trying to hold down the fort where he goes, "There's no such thing as a croatoan virus for down there. You should really see a doctor." Not that funny, but, you know, it's whatever. Chuck is good at delivering things, at least. In the library, they're trying to execute this plan where the actress goes in and calls for the boys to come out. Also, Dean says, "I'm right here, sweetheart," when she says she's scared. Like, fuck off.
Dean.
Like, you're asking this woman to, like, risk her life. Like, cool it. And so the library door is, like, blocked and shit. So, they're all trying to get in. But, you know, the actress is calling everyone naughty and saying that they need to unlock all of the doors of the house. And the Sam manages to get Barnes and Damien out because they're in charge of going to burn the bones. Which, honestly, I
did not realize this. Like, I thought Sam was with them, and when Sam later on goes in and slashes that
he
ghost, I was
walks
like,
really
what the
fast.
Why is he here? Why is he here?
Yeah, also, I don't know, I feel like it should have been, like one experienced hunter, one cosplayer on each team. Like,
Yeah.
like David and
like,
Barnes,
we
like
know
Sam
that
Dino has
ghosts
died because David
attack-
and Barnes can't operate a Ziffo.
Yeah. I mean, like, we know for a fact that ghosts also attack
When you're
like,
trying to
people
burn the
that are about
body.
to burn their bones. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
not smart. It seems to be working. But then her ringtone starts going off. And even though all the boys were like, this completely different woman with a completely different face and voice and outfit is Letitia Gore, the advent of a cell phone is somehow enough for them to go, I guess that this is fake. The boys start trying to attack.
It's like cutting between Sam and Dean. Well, Dean getting his ass beat, and then Sam shows up, like, also with the iron bar, and Damien and Barnes are like digging up graves, and Barnes is like, oh my god, like he's panting really hard, and he's like, digging graves seems so easy, but like it's actually so hard, and I think I'm gonna throw up. And like Damien just looks at him really seriously and goes, no, you're not, which is I thought it was so nice. And yeah, Chuck is still there. He's talking about his fucking life.
He's actually talking about his fucking life, yeah.
Yeah, no, his fucking life, which is that he lost his virginity when he was 16, and it was also when he fell in love the first time. And then he goes, but then she went around telling everybody it didn't count. So
what does
and
that
he just chuckles a little bit.
Like what?
What?
Like why? Like I'm just confused. I feel like we're supposed to understand what that means. Why is she saying that it doesn't count? Like, because it was like a hand job? Like what?
Because it's not good.
Like the sex was so bad that she thought it didn't count.
She was telling everyone it didn't count. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like embarrassing to be having sex with Chuck, I suppose.
Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense. He does have loser in high school vibes.
Yeah. I'd fuck him. Chuck, don't worry about it. Well, I can be your, what the fuck am I? Like, sexuality-wise questioning face.
Well, God is already bi. Oh, I'm assuming that he already knows.
I mean, we're still going back and forth between what is Chuck and God.
But, I
suppose. Is he God here?
I think, okay, but when he's talking about how he's been in relationships with both men and women to Metatron, like, I'm assuming that was while he was Chuck. Because, like, while he was God, I don't think he was fucking, because he was, like, up in heaven not having a body.
Well, a happy bisexuality, I guess. I'll just leave the room. Yeah.
I mean, you can sleep with Chuck. It's not an experimental thing.
This is true, but I don't wanna.
All right.
The hotel manager starts to move out, but Chuck goes, "Don't open that door." But the manager's like, "Who give a shit, man?" He opens the door. It breaks the salt line that Sam and Dean put there earlier. And then suddenly, like, one of the little boys are there, and he's holding a giant knife. And there's this, like, kind of slow motion scene where Chuck gets, like, a giant iron bar or whatever that is, and swipes over the kid. And the kid, like, disappears. And then he closes the door, and then he goes. And it's, like, the first time in the public that he is showing authority. And he goes, "I said nobody leaves, damn it. Now somebody sold this door." And Becky is seeing all this, and she's like,
oh.
Wow.
He's just like Sam for real.
This is what I'm saying, that, like,
I don't
Eric
like
Kripke
it.
was like, You don't like it?
Not that much, but what were you gonna say?
I mean, I like this scene, but I cannot help but think that Eric Kripke is going like, I'm so cool.
I mean, yeah. Like, I guess that is why I don't like it. Because, like, Chuck is a writer stand-in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we remove Eric Kripke from every equation, I like this scene.
Yeah, just any, like, this girl won't notice me, like, plot is just fundamentally uninteresting to me, I think. So anything that is part of that plot, it makes me annoyed. And it makes me extra annoyed if, Eric Kripke is in the equation. And he's like, I wish that my fans would want to fuck me. Like,
No, I mean,
don't.
the Becky thing, obviously annoying. I'm just talking independently about Chuck. Like,
Oh, okay.
I think Chuck coming in here, doing that iron bar thing and being like, nobody leave, damn it, and showing authority and blah, blah, blah. I think that's fun. Like, at any given context, I would find the Becky stuff annoying. But Chuck, independently, I'm like, he's so cool. And then I remember that, like, oh, this is Eric Kripke being like, and I'm so cool too. And I get pissed about it.
Yeah.
Sam Dean getting beat. Damien trying to fucking light the Zippo. It's not working too well. And he goes, how come Dean can always light this stupid thing on the first try? Which is so true.
They had to dig up 4 graves. Sam should have gone with them. Like, that's a lot of work.
Sam and Dean are like there. Sam's about to get scalped.
Yeah, his beautiful hair.
Yeah. Who cares about his brain and his skull? His beautiful hair.
This is actually why Sam starts to go bald in later seasons. He never recovered from this.
Exactly. It's not about any, male pattern baldness. No.
No.
Stress,
I mean, he's trans.
No. What?
He's trans. I guess if he was on T long enough, though, he would also be experiencing male pattern baldness.
Yeah, this is true. Does John experience male pattern baldness?
He dies too early, but also... Wait, actually, yeah, what age is... Oh, okay, in Lebanon, was he looking kind of bald?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yeah.
His hair was shaved. So maybe.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the kids, they're gone. The ghosts, they're gone. And Dean makes a comment about, like, maybe that guy was right. Maybe we should put these things on a bungee about the iron bar that flew out of his hand.
Yeah. And that guy will never know that he was right due to he died.
He's dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's later and police are here and all of that. And Dean goes to talk to Damien and Barnes. And he says, like, thanks for saving our asses back there. And they introduce themselves with their proper names. And they ask Dean his name, and he goes, Dean. The real Dean. Because, yeah, I think as soon as Sam's not here, Dean's just on his, like, Sam and Dean are real people, and I am them, like, bullshit. But it doesn't work. Damien's like, so true, bestie, so am I. As he's walking away, Damien goes, you're wrong, about Supernatural. No offense, but I'm not sure you get what the story is about.
Just like we were.
He's so funny.
We need this guy to talk to Neil Gaiman.
He goes, like, IRL, like, Barnes sells stereo equipment and I fix copiers. So our lives suck. Being 17, like, waking up every morning and saving the world and having a brother who would die for you, who wouldn't want that? Me, I would not want that. That sounds bad. I don't want it. I don't know. It's so fascinating how it's like the male fans are like, I want to be Sam and Dean, and the female fans are like, I want to fuck Sam and Dean. Seems to be the dichotomy that the Supernatural writers are creating. I don't think anyone wants to be Sam and Dean due to how the Dean and Sam story sucks. But I don't know.
You should not be saying this in front of me.
Fair. But you don't want to wake up every morning and save the world or have a brother who would die for you. You just want the aesthetic.
I want nothing of their life. I just want the look.
Dean's like, okay, maybe you're right. And you two don't make a bad team yourselves. How do you know each other anyway? And apparently they met online in a Supernatural chat room. Just like us. And he goes, it must be nice to get out of your parents' basement and make some friends. Stop being mean. Damien goes, we're more than friends. And then
Not like us.
not like us. And then he takes Barnes' hand. And then he goes,
And it's cute.
we're partners. And then Barnes like puts his head on Damien's shoulder and they're both smiling.
And it's so cute.
It's sweet. I agree. However, I think that in the context of Supernatural, I'm cautious about giving praise too quickly. Anyway, especially because Dean gives the most homophobic look ever. And he goes, oh, wow. Huh. Howdy, partners.
Howdy, partners.
I don't see a way to read this that isn't homophobic in terms of like Dean's reaction, because like I feel like beforehand everyone was like, of course it's weird because they're cosplaying him and his brother, but like it's the next day. He knows their names. Like, they're not in character.
Yeah.
It's like
the show goes out of their way to tell us these people's names. Like, I think that means something.
Yeah.
In terms of delineating those parts of the story now.
Right. So, like, he's just homophobic.
He's just homophobic.
Like, he really
And,
is
like,
just homophobic.
okay,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Because, you know, I mean, slightly different situation, because for me, coming out is more on the trans area. People just assume that I'm attracted to women. So, like, when I come out as trans, people are like, they don't know what to say because there's no social script for it. Or at least for where I am, there's no like existing social script for it. So I was trying to think of it in that way. Like, maybe like there's just no social script for like we're together.
You're trying so hard.
Am I trying incredibly hard?
Okay. If one of the cosplayers was a woman, would Dean react in this way?
Well, no, because he would just assume that they're already together.
So, but like, okay, but like, I don't know. If he didn't, I don't know. I don't know how to. You're right that he would just assume, so it's hard to make an equivalent. But I do think that if he didn't think that they were together because they were acting too much like nerds or whatever for him to think that they could be in a relationship, I don't think he would react that way.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because I'm trying to think of like, because I was trying to think of it in a gender way. And it's like, yeah, there's no social script for I'm actually a dude. Because like, that's not a common
I think the social script is that you just say
but
cool.
Like, the social script for we're together is obviously the same social script as we're together for a heterosexual couple.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to excuse this so much. And no, I don't think the reaction is just, it's cool. Because there are people who say that and are not happy about it. So,
what do you mean?
You know, I've definitely interacted with people where they go like, I'm trans, and I'm like, that's great, and that's not what they want to hear.
Wait, what do they want to hear?
Are you okay?
What?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm grateful to exist in an environment. Well, maybe not an environment. I'm grateful to exist as a person who is very happy with who I am. But there are people who don't feel that way about their identity and do not appreciate being like, oh, that's so cool that you're trans, because they don't think that's cool. And like, obviously that's, you know.
Sorry. That
I
sounds unfortunate.
I remember like the first time someone was like, how should I react to this about me like coming out to them, and being like, what the fuck do you mean? What are you talking about? But now like I understand. I get it.
I guess. Like, okay. Sure.
Especially when they're coming out to me because I'm very visible. And so sometimes, like, people come out to me in a, like, I need someone who is queer to know, but, like, in commiseration, not exactly in, like, you know, in, like, I'm proud of it. It's complicated. I love you, transgender people, and I hope we all love ourselves.
But yeah, okay. So Dean's homophobic. We've established this. For sure, he is homophobic.
I love you, trans people. And also, Dean is homophobic.
I love you, trans people, and you should all love yourself. Unless you're Dean Winchester, who is homophobic. You should probably not love yourself. Yeah, okay. Regarding...
But the howdy partner is kind of an insane thing to say. Like, I don't think we've addressed it enough. Howdy partner is an insane thing to say. What is wrong with him? And Barnes does say, like, howdy. So
I guess regarding they got a GLAAD nomination for this, right?
I think, yeah, there is, like, like, you know, Dean reacts homophobically to it. But these people are people. And, like, I love that. I don't know. Like, I don't think their portrayal at all is homophobic. It's the reaction. It's the same way, like, I'm not sure if you watched It's Always Sunny.
No.
I've watched, like, the first season or the first two, which is like when it was bad apparently because Danny DeVito doesn't show up yet. But there's an episode there that is vitriolically like transmisogynistic, right? And it's this interesting look into it because the transmisogyny exists as like the characters reacting to the person and the characters and the story being like, haha, like, you're right. Or framing it as, like, the character's gripes are normal or okay
valid
or
fine.
Whatever,
Yeah.
But the woman in question is, like, one of the most non-caricature portrayal of trans women I've ever seen. Like, she's just a person. And it's, like, it's that interesting, you know, like, the reaction of the characters is so bad. But the character itself is, like, not at all.
Right.
Like, the character is just a person. I don't know. That's how I feel about this, I guess. No, not that much. Not to that extreme. That episode is truly god-awful transmisogynistic. But, like, this one is, like, this passing line by Dean. It's like, yeah, you can read it as homophobic because it is, as we've established. But, like, the characters are... not at all. They're portrayed respectfully, I think.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah, I think my main gripe in their portrayal is just that they, like, I don't know, like, they don't act much like a couple before
Until
this
here.
reveal.
Yeah.
And I think, the point of it is, like, to drop it on you here. Like, surprise.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is our reaction
want them
to the
because
surprise supposed to be Dean's reaction? Like, is Dean meant to be an audience proxy as, like, I didn't know that? Or, like,
Dean
is that
supposed
just
to be an
Dean?
audience proxy in this
So,
moment,
like,
100%.
Yeah, so, like, it is... Like, Eric Kripke is going, like, it's kind of gross that they're gay, right? Like, he is going like that.
Well, I mean, how would they change it? It's not like they can be, like, in love while LARPing as Sam and
But
Dean.
they're often not in character, and, like, it's very clear when they're in character and when they're non-character based off of, like, their voices. So I feel like you could do a fine enough delineation between those. And also, he was fine with putting homoerotic subtext and supernatural as a panel here. So, like, there is, like, I don't know, they already introduced wincest into the environment, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I will defend the way it's done. I accept, like, the way Dean reacts. Like, if Dean was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just say, okay, cool? What's wrong with him? Literally.
You're right that it is difficult to do just because they were cosplaying Sam and Dean. But, like, I don't know, if, like, someone is just close to you, like a close friend or, like, a close romantic partner, I feel like you seek comfort in each other after a traumatic thing, like a ghost attacking you, more than they did.
No.
No?
I mean, in the language of TV, yeah, but, like, I mean, if we're just going, like, in real life, this is what you do. I don't think so.
In
the language of television,
TV.
Sure. But I don't know. I'm fine with how they do it.
Okay. All right. If you say so.
Well,
But yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We have set our points. Anyway, so I'm very happy for them. We don't ever see them again, do we?
they are so cute though. It's good
Yeah.
for them.
Good for them.
And I appreciate the idea that they met in a supernatural, like, forum. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I think that's so cute. And, like, the idea of, like, Sam and Dean's story that they think is so miserable, being, like, a way for people to connect. Like, that's fun.
Meanwhile, Sam is talking to Becky and Chuck. And
This is pretty funny.
it is...
Becky is such a fucking misogynistically rude character.
Yeah,
I did not pronounce
her
that well at all,
actress
but
does
yeah.
a really good job with, like, just being
The
a comedic actress,
yeah.
but unfortunately she was given the material she was given. Like, earlier when she, like, blows Sam a kiss, but it's not a kiss because she just licks her entire palm and then
Yeah,
blows it at him. Like, that was
Crazy, and
really
it's so
good.
funny.
Like, she is Sam Licker, whatever number it is that I forgot. Sam goes and he's talking to Becky, and the camera is just her face, and she goes, "Look, Sam, I'm not gonna lie. We had undeniable chemistry, but like a monkey on the sun, it was too hot to live. It can't go on. Chuck and I, we found each other, my yin to his proud yang. And well, the heart wants what the heart wants. I'm so, so sorry." And then the camera zooms out a little, and Chuck is standing right next to her.
Right beside them. It's pretty funny.
It's pretty good. And he goes, "Yeah, Sam, sorry." He was apologizing for cutting the Sam Chuck love story short. That was his apology.
Exactly.
And Becky goes, "Will you be all right?" And I think Chuck sort of gives Sam a meaningful look, and Sam
Yeah.
pulls his community theater face on. I do think it's very sweet that Sam spends this entire episode, like, indulging people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he does it with Damien Barnes, he does it with Becky here. Like, I think he is more able to separate himself from the supernatural story and be like, this is meaningful for people, and I will just be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to do his good deeds. He's like, I raised Lucifer, but at least I can make these people happy. He goes, "Honestly, I don't know. I'll just have to find a way to keep living, I guess." And this was, like,
This
the
is,
right
like,
thing to
about-
say. Like, Becky loves this.
Yeah, this was about Chuck.
It was literally
That's what
about
it is.
Chuck. And she goes, God bless you.
God bless you. Which is so fun because God is right beside them.
So true. And Sam goes, okay. Oh, hey, Chuck. If you really want to publish more books, I guess that's okay with us. And Chuck goes, wow, really? And Sam goes, no, not really. We have guns and we will find you. So fucking funny. I love this guy.
So iconic.
He's being
so
gun boy.
important.
And Chuck goes, okay, no more books. And Sam's
And they
walking
go
away. And then Becky runs after him. And she goes, Sam, wait, one more thing. In chapter 33 of Supernatural Times on My Side, there's that girl, Bella. She was British and a cat burglar. She stole the colt from you, and then she said she gave it to Lilith. And then she goes, well, you know she lied, right? Like, she didn't really give it to Lilith. Didn't you read the book? So real. And apparently she gave it to a demon named Crowley, who was Lilith's right-hand man and her lover, too. I didn't know that about Crowley.
Well, Crowley gets it on. We're gonna meet Crowley soon.
Yeah.
Next episode, I think.
Yeah. Well, do we? Okay, I know we get Meg again, and I know
There's
that
gonna
Joe and
be
Ellen die.
death next episode. And the
Is
picture in
Crowley
Cass.
there?
Oh my god, I miss Cass. You were gonna see him again.
Chuck just didn't remember this because he's not that big of a fan. But
He the guy.
Becky tells Sam everything.
Sam and Dean, like, they meet in the Impala. I can't believe, like, they went to a supernatural convention and nobody saw their car and went, oh my god, and then took pictures of it, like, for everyone in God to see.
But
is what I
well,
want.
wasn't the joke is that they pull up to the motel and there's like 4 other Impalas.
Is there really?
Yeah, you
How
didn't notice?
did they get them? No, not at all. How did they get them?
You can buy cars.
This is true, but you know,
Like, it is
Impala's very
difficult
expensive.
for older cars. It is expensive, but I guess they're
know
big
how I
enough
know.
fans.
I said, do you know how I know?
Because you
Well,
looked it up.
Of course I have.
Yeah.
Who hasn't? Let's be for
Me.
real right now. If you're listening to this podcast, you have looked up how much an Impala is.
I mean, I haven't looked it up.
Yeah, but you're not
I don't
listening
think
to this
Danica
podcast.
has.
This is true, but Danica is a unique person.
Yeah.
Which none of our other listeners are. I'm just
Danica
kidding.
and
I
Wani
love all-
are unique people.
Yeah. Okay, let's just say this. If you are listening to this podcast, the chances of you having looked up the price of an Impala, or if there's any of them being sold near you, are higher. So if this is true, shoot us an email, buzzyshootespot@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or a Tumblr ask, whatever.
Sam tells Dean that, like, he's got a lead on the cult, and yeah, they get in, and like there's this like mini compilation of stuff Chuck said on stage, and it was like, he goes like a lot of others, I started writing because of love. I had a huge crush on Nancy McKeon, who played Jo in The Facts of Life. And there's like a cut to Sam and Dean like putting their finger over their neck in a like kill.
Oh, yeah, they're doing the we're gonna kill you gestures. Sam is doing we're gonna split your throat, or slit your throat, and Dean's doing like a gun to the head thing.
Which is truly so quintessentially Sam and Dean.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I wrote 40 to 50 letters you should never wrote back. And then this next one is like my favorite line this episode. I actually laughed so loud. He goes like, I don't think the Benders made flesh suits out of all their victims. Like, maybe just a couple of scars. Which is so funny. And yeah, just a couple more stuff. I don't know. It's good. At some point he goes, the way I look at it, it's not really jumping the shark if you never come back down, you know? So true.
So true. And
Yeah, he's this.
there's also a deleted scene. Okay, interesting. I'm glad they deleted, okay, all of the things. Apparently there's a cut thing where he says that he's sorry for his negative depictions of witches because he doesn't want to offend anyone in the Wiccan community, and there's something to be said for a lady that doesn't shave. Well, I understand why they cut that one. He says that his favorite supporting character is Bella, and then the audience boos. No, I would have been cheering and clapping.
He says his hobbies are drinking, funny car racing, and macrame. Chuck,
He and Zachariah should hang out. Wait, apparently Chuck's dad is gay. Who's Chuck's dad in this universe where he's God? Sorry, one of the cut lines is John isn't based on my father. My father's more like Bobby, actually, except he's older, doesn't have a beard, and he's gay.
Iconic. I love it.
Iconic. And also, Bobby is gay also, so I don't know what you're talking about, Chuck.
Well, Bobby's bisexual, and he's making the distinction between...
Okay, he's not using gay as an umbrella term. I see.
Exactly. Do you think they scripted all of this, or they were just like, Rob, get on with it?
I think it was improv.
Yeah.
It feels improv-y.
It has the vibe of an improv.
Right, because I feel like the 17 doing the "we're gonna kill you" gestures feels more like the actors than in character.
I really like Chuck. I do. He's crept up to be like, I think, my second favorite character.
Wait, sorry, Damien and Barnes, their names are the names of the moderators on the Supernatural forums at Television Without Pity. Are the moderators, like, together, or did they just... I don't know if the moderators are together or if they just made this up for the...
That's so
Either way, it's kind of crazy to do that.
It is. You know what? In season 16 of Supernatural, which may or may not happen, I'm not sure. Maybe it won't happen.
Wait, Barnes is a woman in the actual moderator. Barnes is a woman.
So they gender bent it.
Yes.
To be gay. Okay, that's cool. Or
yeah.
is it?
I don't know.
I think it's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they should have taken names from actual fans in the first place.
No, but the joke I was gonna make is in season 16 of Supernatural, which may or may not happen in varying degrees according to the people on my timeline. They should have characters named Crystal and Gray. I think it's hilarious.
God bless. They absolutely should.
Yeah. Well, what did we think about this episode? Obviously, I loved it.
Yes.
And you did too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had fun the whole time. Most of the whole time.
This day would come. Like,
I mean, there are episodes that we have liked.
This is true, but I feel like it's been so long since you liked an episode.
Perhaps.
In a more than like, it was fine way.
Yeah.
Maybe your love is coming back. Like, have you thought about that?
I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is that I spent 4 hours trying to force myself to write an essay, and I couldn't get myself to write a single word, and then I went, I give up. I'm just going to watch Supernatural. I think that I was in the right mind to let all of Supernatural in yesterday.
And in case any future employers are listening,
I love writing essays. I love writing papers. I love doing research and lit reviews.
Exactly. Well, best line, worst line? I love every single line Chuck said, I should say. You know what? I like the reveal that they're partners. I like it. I like that like Sam saying, "No, not really. We have guns and we'll find you." I thought it was funny.
Yeah, my favorite is no, not really. We have guns and we'll find you.
I really like the line about the vendors, which I really like it so much. And there were so many moments in this episode where I had a giggle, I had a laugh, a chuckle even.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I don't know. What is your worst line?
I'm sure one of the Becky ones is quite bad.
You know what? I also like the case. The case isn't the point.
It was very season 1 with like
yeah,
a formulaic
mother,
twist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could take or leave the case. Yeah. Oh, wait, my worst line is when the actress for Letitia Gore goes like, "Oh, but you seem different," to Dean.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I would say, like, the case, like, is good for what it is. Like, it's a background case, you know.
Oh my god, sorry. I'm looking at the wiki links a script, and apparently in the cast list there was meant to be a Korean Dean and a Korean Sam. I don't want to know what their plans were for the characters Korean Dean and Korean Sam. Neither of us are Korean. But yeah, I think Supernatural would not distinguish. Wait, now, okay, I want to see the part of the script where the couple reveal happens. I want to know what. Oh, they wrote down the. Okay, it wasn't improv. All the Chuck extra lines are in this script. Rob Benedict is not actually funny.
Well, he's a funny scripted actor. That's still something.
Huh. Okay, actually, Jensen Ackles is the homophobic one.
I mean, we have already established that Jensen is homophobic.
Sorry.
What does it say?
So funny. Someone next to this section wrote "not gross" and underlined it. God, they deserved that GLAAD award. Not gross, so true.
So literally, Jensen Ackles. Just so.
But okay, the actual direction that is in the notes is Dean takes this in. The sight of two guys dressed as Sam and Dean, intimate like this. It's a bit awkward, but still there's respect here. Jensen Ackles is just so homophobic.
I mean, like, maybe he took in the part that, like, two guys dressed as Sam and Dean.
Yeah, maybe he ran with that part a little bit too much.
But if I'm being completely honest, it does not read like that.
Yeah,
at all. Like,
they're not really dressed as. Okay, the thing is that in Supernatural, there's like
everybody's
two types of outfits, and everyone is dressed like Sam and Dean.
And also, like, I think they are disconnected enough from the Sam and Dean. Like, we have not seen them act as Sam and Dean for a while at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
they
it's
have
like
separate
removed
names,
from your
they
mind.
have separate voices. Yeah,
And then also, like, the last time they were Sam and Dean was like when they were like digging up the bones, pretty much. The first time around. And so many things have happened already, and they've existed way beyond that already.
Yeah, the majority of their time together has been when they weren't acting like Sam and Dean.
So
it's strange that they brought that into this part of the transcript. Like, I just don't think that should have been
That is
something that the characters were thinking about or the writers were thinking about at this point. We have to do the writer's sins now, right?
Okay, writer sins.
Misogyny exists in the way that Becky is written.
Yes. And I think just the general non-existence of other women.
Yeah, and
It
the
betrays-
contrast between former female characters who are fans and like current male fans.
I'm actually willing to put it as 3. I think it's fundamental to the episode. I think
All right,
you think about it. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the... Yeah. Well,
go for it.
true. Racism? No.
Yeah, they didn't have
They did
Korean
not put
17.
the Korean 17.
Wait, I wish that script was control F-able. I need to know if like there's lines for them like in
For
the
Korean 17.
Yeah. Ugh, we'll never find out. This is so sad.
Homophobia.
In Dean's reaction, definitely, but that might just be Jensen Ackles' fault, actually.
But it's still in the show.
It is still in the show, yeah. I guess because this tab is called Writer Sins.
Yeah.
Like, the script seems to be making an effort to be like, we don't want to be homophobic. But
I think
they still let it
comes
go.
up.
Yeah. I think it should still count. For how many points?
I mean, we still also have the director here. Like, we also
That's
list the
true.
director in the writer
That is
sins.
true.
I would say this is maybe I would defend it as a 1 because of the aforementioned. The characters that are gay are written well and treated well. So I don't want to.
Right. But also, like, they're treated well during the time when we don't know that they're gay. And as soon as they're gay, it's like Jensen Ackles makes a homophobic face and then leaves. You know?
But I don't know. Like, you see them at the end and they're like, I don't know, they're just leaning
They're
against
cute.
each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will not fight for a 2, but in my heart it is a 2.
You know what? Because I'm kind today, you want to do a 1.5?
Really? Aw, thanks. Yeah, I'll do a 1.5.
Okay.
Historical. Or no, historic. Historical means regarding history. Historic means like... Anyway, it's
This is
historic.
true. A historic shift.
Yes. All right. IMDb. I have no fucking clue. Because, okay, we loved it. But like... I don't know. People like funny ones.
Definitely, it's lower than...
It's definitely lower than
think.
changing channels. People do
which
like
I
funny
think
ones.
is
It
a
might be
crime.
less funny because it follows a funny one. They might not care that much. People's attitude towards Chuck, Monster at the end of this book, got a 9.2. So people seem to like the meta things. I don't want to put it over a 9 because I don't think it is. But also, like, I've been, like, underrepresenting for, like, the last 3 episodes. And I just want to fail in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to do a 9.0.
I'm going to go a 9.1, actually.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. Oh!
What?
It's an 8.8.
Okay. I got closer this time. That's
I'm
nice.
sad that that's the case.
It's almost a full point lower than changing channels, and I enjoyed it more.
The most irritating episode ever, and as fine as every other Supernatural episode.
Huh.
I found this episode to be truly irritating as the fake versions of Sam and Dean constantly interfered or simply said something annoying. But I began to understand what it must feel like for the characters if it was real life.
Boo. Who give a fuck?
Who give a fuck about them if it was real life? They're not real.
Yeah, they literally aren't. They gave it 10 out of 10, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they just said that, like, I thought it was irritating, but in a way that was befitting.
Yeah. I guess so.
Oh, I'm so excited for Supernatural to be funny and silly.
I mean, when does that happen to you?
Now.
Yeah, you don't need to wait anymore. Someone says name one other show that has the same or similar quirkiness. I don't think you watch that much TV.
Yeah. Well, I don't either. Maybe that's why I love Supernatural so much. Like,
this person says that season 4 sucked and the beginning of season 5 sucked, but the Real Ghostbusters didn't disappoint. What do they want from Supernatural? They're happy about there being an old hotel, a ghost, an unexpected twist, and flirty Dean.
this one says this is the single worst episode in the first 5 seasons. Holy crap, so cringy. And the title is called Barf. Wow.
Okay, this one says that it's hard to see Damien and Barnes as anything but objects of derision. It feels more like mocking their queer fans than including them in some way.
Huh.
I'm trying to... Let me try to get in that mindset. Is it because Dean made a homophobic face? Okay,
no,
yeah,
I guess it's because throughout the episode.
They're like
I didn't
annoying.
think they were irritating at all.
Yeah, I didn't find them irritating, but I think we are supposed to find them irritating, but I think we're also supposed to like turn around on them by the end. They do go through a journey where they're like, you're right, I can't handle this life as well as you, and for some reason that makes me annoying, but I'm still gonna be brave and whatever. Like, I think we're supposed to like them by the end, but like, is that correct? I mean, I don't know. The script said not gross on it, so I think we're supposed to like them.
That's it for this episode of Bus Station Beauties. Next week, we will be discussing Season 5, Episode 10, Abandon All Hope. Leave us a rating or review wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us on social media. We are on Tumblr at busstationbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is BABPOD, BABPod. Thanks to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/busstationbeautiespod, which is where our outtakes live. And check out our merch at babpod.redbubble.com.
You can email us any feedback, comments, or inquiries at busstationbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.